Okay, this is just a clip from a video that I played about Kevin Cooper and how and Kamala's role in what happened to this gentleman.
Was hours away from receiving lethal injection. Hours away from it. His lawyers asked that DNA evidence be acquired in order to make sure he was actually guilty of the crime. And Kamala Harris's office tried to prevent DNA evidence from being acquired. They wanted Kevin Cooper to be executed, but the governor of California disagreed. They acquired DNA evidence, and the execution was stopped. The New York Times tells us that she feels really bad about it.
All right, so New York Times did a huge expose on that case. And this is one of the things from the New York Times that was said. The evidence of Kevin Cooper's guilt is extensive and conclusive. This is the findings of a Gavin Newsom investigation. Christoph is the person who wrote the article and did the full deep dive into the case. And he says he disagreed, quoting Thomas R. Parker, a 30-year law enforcement veteran who was the deputy head of the FBI's office in LA. That person said that in this case, Kevin Cooper case, the evidence was planted. He was framed. The cops lied on the stand. This man was, again, the head of the FBI office in Los Angeles. And the reason I'm going over this again is because the person who I had up here mentioned it and stated as fact that this person had unalived 4 people, 3 people, 1 survived. So this is from that article that the gentleman that we just heard was referencing. And let me see, move over a little bit. All right, I'm going to read the highlighted areas. So you can't see this, but I can. Up top, it says on January 13th, 2023, special counsel appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom came to the conclusion that the evidence of Cooper's guilt is extensive and conclusive, just like I showed you guys. Down to the bottom where I have it highlighted, it says, 2 construction workers who had worked with Furrow, who is the person that they're saying actually committed the murders in Pennsylvania, told California's independent investigator that in 2018, they heard Furrow say, "Me and my boys, we butchered the whole family." All right, this is one of the instances of evidence that was provided to the independent investigator that clearly was just dismissed. All right, next piece of evidence was Furrow, the gentleman again that they're saying actually did it. His former girlfriend told the investigator that she saw Furrow wearing overalls covered with bloodstains. All right, so now you have 2 witnesses, or 2 sets of witnesses, because there was construction workers, plural, who said that the guy confessed to them. Then you have the guy's girlfriend say she saw him in bloody clothes. 6 months later, the sheriff's deputy questioned Furrow, 6 months after the fact, and disposed of the overalls or coveralls without testing for the bloodstains. That's kind of weird. Josh Ryan, the only survivor of the attack. So this is one of the 4 people who were stabbed hundreds of times. Josh Ryan, the only survivor of the attack attributed to Cooper, told the police that he was not the guy who did it after seeing a photo of Cooper. And they still went forward with their conclusion and prosecution of this gentleman. This is why it was said, how you doing, Miss Akimi? This is why it was said, hey, this guy's innocent and Kamala was working to get this man executed. Next part was her office litigated aggressively against allowing this DNA evidence to be considered in the federal investigation. She aggressively tried to stop this man and his attorneys from providing DNA evidence to his innocence. Cooper's case also renewed attention in 2018 by Dianne Feinstein and Kamala Harris, who are now calling for DNA testing of evidence. She fought to keep the DNA evidence out. This is a fact. So I had a gentleman up here who was on the left who said this guy unalived 4 people. So I'm just providing evidence. These are from the New York Times article. This one here is from, what is it called? This one here is from Death Penalty info.org. They're simply stating what happened in that case of Kevin Cooper. So you have I'm going to recap really quick. A former 30-year law enforcement veteran who was the head of the FBI's office in Los Angeles. This happened in Los Angeles. He said the evidence was planted. Cooper was framed. The cops lied on the stand. All right. This thing here gave witnesses. It gave two of the actual murderer's co-workers on a construction site who said he told them that he did it. You have the actual murderer's girlfriend who said she saw him covered in blood. You have the sheriff's office questioning Furrow and then throwing away the bloody clothes without testing them. None of this makes sense. Then you have the actual person who was stabbed. The family was said to have been stabbed hundreds of times. So you have one of the people who was stabbed saying, Kevin Cooper's not the guy. And what did Kamala Harris do? Fought to stop DNA evidence to prove that Kevin Cooper is not the guy. This is why I state with confidence that she tried to have a man executed. So I just gave you guys evidence. You can look it up if you want. If you don't believe that the guy was innocent, all the information is there. He's been sitting there for 30-something years. I misspoke before and said that he was allowed or he was exonerated. But I mixed up him and True Love, who was actually exonerated, and they concluded that he was framed, flat out framed. This seems to be another case where a man was framed, flat out framed, and Kamala doesn't care. Now, after she left, when she was a senator, then all of a sudden she was for DNA testing. But when she was prosecuting, she wanted no part of it. She didn't want her office to look bad.